Imagine entering a room with a bunch of clocks. There's clocks all over the walls, there's alarm clocks on the floor, but all of the clocks are set to different times. They're not synchronized. This is kind of what happens to every cell in your body when you don't get sunlight. Your whole body just isn't synchronized. This is why even if you can get a lot of sleep, you might still wake up tired. Like, think about it. Sleep is supposed to be that recharging activity, but you still wake up tired. So clearly something's missing. Your body doesn't feel in line, and it's because you don't get enough sunlight. And maybe it doesn't sound very cool, but this is literally the one activity that's changing my life the most right now. Sunlight exposure is a lot like sleep or meditation. These are the highest tier of like self-improvement habits. You get a good night of sleep, the next day when you wake up, everything's just better. Life is just easier. But if you get a bad night of sleep, your whole day is just ruined. Even if everything else is fine, since you got a bad night of sleep, it affects everything. So sleep is a cornerstone habit, a habit that affects other habits. And sleep is really high on the list. You know, we all say, oh, you should get a lot of sleep, 8 to 10 hours of sleep. But I think that sunlight exposure is on the same level as sleep. So I hope that shows how important it is. From the moment I wake up, 10 to 20 seconds later, I'm in my garden standing there staring at the sun. Not at the sun, but in like the general direction of the sun. It's almost like a game for me to see how fast I can get out and look at the sun. The moment you wake up, make a beeline for sunlight. I literally uprooted my whole routine, my whole wake up time, just so that I can get this 5 minutes of sunlight. Like, I used to be those 5 a.m. CEO morning routine and wake up, rise and grind kind of people. So I moved it from 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. all the way to 6:30 to 7 because that's around when the sun comes up for me.
Hey. 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 She just wants some sunlight exposure, bro.
Now this might be when your brain starts coming up with excuses and coping like, oh, you can get light at home, right? An average light bulb emits around 100 to 200 lux of light. Lux is like the metric for it, right? The sun emits over 100,000 lux of light. So you cannot get it indoors. It does not work that way. Basically, staring into the sun for just 5 minutes is way better and will get you more sunlight than if you stared into a light bulb for an hour. Also, you can't look at it through a window. You actually have to step outside. You need the direct sunlight. You can't look at it through a window, or you can't look obviously through sunglasses. Don't be fucking stupid. And for some people, the sun won't rise for you yet. So what I can say for that basically is, if you can, move your wake up time to when the sun does rise. It's really easy. Just search on Google sunrise time, then your country. So for me, sunrise time Singapore, and for me it's around 6:50 to 7:10. That's around like the window when the sun comes up. So since it rises at around 7, I wake up a little bit before 7. So for me, 6:30 to 7 seems to work, so that's what I do. This completely changes your circadian rhythm and dopamine levels. Use light to facilitate your sleep. In the morning when you want to be awake, get tons of light. At night when you want to go to sleep, get as little light as possible. In the morning, my room is flooded by golden sunlight, and at night, I keep like 2 lamps on and I set them to a certain color that looks a little bit like candlelight, so that's really good on my eyes. And that actually makes me feel sleepy after like 30 minutes. So use light to your advantage. And for dopamine, I don't know how to explain it, but after just 10 seconds of looking in the general direction of the sun, I can feel like my brain recharging. It's like the equivalent to a morning cup of coffee. Even though I still have my morning cup of coffee. It just makes you feel happier and warmer and ready for the day. Another thing that I do in the morning that helps me with this as well is just cold showers. That increases dopamine by a lot as well. So literally every day I sit here first thing in the morning because I like to work when I'm fasted. I don't want to eat anything yet. So I sit here first thing in the morning, record the video, do the hardest task because that's like a productivity hack. Just do the hardest thing first and I get my sunlight at the same time. That's why most of my recent videos have been recorded here on the floor of my home gym, because this is where I get the most sunlight in the morning. And I hope you can see how important this is. I wake up and sleep at the same time every day now, and I could only get this consistency when I started doing this practice of getting sunlight exposure in the morning, because now every cell in my body is attuned to the same time. All the clocks have aligned. So yeah, tomorrow, and if you can, every day for the rest of your life, do this practice. 5 to 10 minutes of sunlight exposure first thing in the morning. You can do it whilst looking at your phone, you can do it whilst eating breakfast, that's fine. I do it whilst recording, but just get your sunlight exposure. So the one thing you can take away from this video is that every single morning, even if it's cloudy, it doesn't matter, just go outside. Because if there is sun outside, like if you can see outside, that means there is sunlight. So even if it's cloudy, even if you don't see the golden rays of sun, as long as you can see outside, as long as there's light outside, go outside. Structure in 5 minutes every single morning. First thing in the morning if you can, and throughout the day get more sunlight as well. Nowadays I get like 7 to 8 hours of sunlight a day, and my sleep and energy have never been better. So yeah, go set your routine, change up your wake up time if you need to. Wake up and take action.
Hey, you getting your sunlight exposure? Good, good, good.
Pow. Yeah, by the way, where I got the information for this video is from the Dr. Huberman podcast, Huberman Lab. The full podcast is like a couple hours. I don't think you need to watch it for a couple hours to understand. Like, I can summarize the whole thing in just 2 words. Sunlight, good. So yeah, if you're interested in all like the sciencey stuff behind it and how like the body reacts, then you can watch that. I'm just here to give you like the practical tips, like what you actually need to do, which is just get sunlight first thing in the morning. Huberman says like until 60 minutes, so like the first hour of waking up get sunlight. For me, it's like the first 5 minutes. Just get it as quickly as possible. All right, give me a kiss.
Number 10. Bessimo.